Today we are reviewing all three of the brand new Thermion 2 models from Pulsar, the XL60, the XP60 and the XG60. I'm going to cover in-depth image quality comparisons, my thoughts on the new models, how to operate them, zeroing, ballistics calculation, how the Stream Vision app works and much more. If at any time you want to skip through to the parts you're most interested in, we'll have the time codes listed in the description and the comments below. Now we carry these and many other models and brands, and we make it a priority to test and review as many of them as possible. You can find these reviews over on the product page at bristleUp.com.au. If you're still unsure which device is right for you and want industry-leading advice, feel free to give us a call. I'll walk you through the pros and cons of each model based on our findings and help you make an informed decision. Let's dive deep into the image quality comparisons between the three models. These shots are recorded in unfavorable conditions at 24 degrees Celsius and 72% humidity. It's important to note the conditions at which image quality recordings are done for thermals, especially if you're comparing the quality between different videos recorded under different weather conditions. You'll also see at the top center of the screen the distance at which each set of recordings has been taken. We have our specially trained and very loved dogs as our demonstration targets tonight. They spend a short time tied up and get a good run around and feed once we are done. Doing the image recordings this way allow us to repeat the same tests for other models on the market. We do recordings very close and slowly move out to further distances so you can see the field of view when you're close to a target as well as the clarity at a distance. This gives you a clear indication on how the thermal will perform for your use case. As you can see, all three thermals perform well at closer distances, and we don't start seeing too noticeable of differences until we get out to 100 meters through to 300 meters. The 1024 pixel sensor on the XL60 starts to shine once we hit the 200 meter mark. You'll notice detail loss increases as we zoom in, and this is common with thermals due to digital zoom, especially once we reach the max zoom level. If you do a lot of close range shooting at moving targets, you want a thermal with a wide field of view, and for longer shots you want a balance between field of view and sensor resolution size. The XL60 has the best combination of sensor size as well as field of view, with the XP60 coming in second and the XG having the highest base mag with the most narrow field of view. Alright, so we do have some more footage from the XL60 that we're going to take a look at now. First up, we have some footage of a kangaroo at about 80 meters, and then we'll take a look at a compilation of some pigs out on some stubble country and whatnot. So kick back and enjoy. Alright, before we move on, let's look at the different color palettes that Pulsar offers. First up we have white hot, then we have black hot, red hot, then we have red monochrome, which I don't mind, and then we have rainbow, ultramarine, violet, and then lastly sepia. So some solid options there. Let's move on. I've started incorporating information about manufacturers in my reviews. So let's talk about Pulsar. Pulsar stands out as one of the few thermal imaging brands not made in China. Their products are manufactured across Europe and assembled in Lithuania. Each Pulsar product undergoes rigorous torture testing before leaving the factory, ensuring high quality and reliability. These tests include, but are not limited to, recoil resistance, durability, and waterproofing evaluations. In recent years, Pulsar has built a strong reputation for reliability, further supported by their comprehensive 3-year warranty. For those interested in a behind-the-scenes look at their production process, the Field Sports channel over on YouTube has an in-depth video titled Inside Pulsar's Night Vision HQ. Simply search for it on YouTube to learn more about the brand and its commitment to quality. I wanted to share with you some more information about our business and the products and services we offer. We sell all the major brands, we test and have video reviews on dozens of models from Pulsar, HIC Micro, Knockpix and Infrared, with new reviews being released regularly. Our average delivery time Australia-wide is 2 to 4 days, and with us your package is covered while in transit. If you ever have issues, we can handle warranty, and if you need your thermal for a trip or work, we can arrange a loan unit for you. Not only that, but if you commit to buying your next thermal from us and you're still unsure what to buy, you can hire out any of the thermals in our growing collection of rental devices for free. We do highly recommend having a free 30-minute consult with myself. We can take our time and dive deep into your needs and the pros and cons to help you make the right decision on your next purchase. Alright, let's kick off by taking a quick look in the box. So obviously got the thermal out. Opening up the box. Straight up we have some thermal targets as well as our manuals. Then we have our zip up bag here. Alright, this is the soft case that comes with the Thermion. Alright, so I've taken a lot of this stuff out, but we do have a charging cord. We do have a charging base, cleaning cloth. We also have the wireless remote control that you can Velcro onto your gun somewhere, and that allows you to control the device fully. You've got your scroll wheel here and your menu button press in, and your other buttons there as well. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the other stuff that was in the box that I've already fitted. So here we have our eye cup and then also our additional battery. Now this is an APS-3 battery, and that does it. That's what's in the box. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the 3 latest models from Pulsar, all 60mm lenses. We've got the XL60, the XP60 and the XG60. Now before I go into my thoughts of the new Thermions, let's take a look at how the device works in general and what the features are. So I'll move these out of the way and we'll just focus on one device. Alright, so as you can see, Pulsar has stuck with their original design from the previous models. We've got the rangefinder at the front here on top. We've got our focus wheel here that can be accessed from either side, and that will focus in your image. A quick release lens cap. If you just press that, she will release like that. The power button is up the front here. A single press on the power button will turn it on. And as with previous Thermions, the startup time is very quick. Now moving on, we have our main scroll wheel on the side of the device here. Now that can be used to make menu changes, to zoom in and out, and so on and so forth. A single press on the scroll wheel button will bring up your quick access menu, and a long press will open up your main menu, and you can scroll through the menus and single press to access the next menu, and so on. Now going around on top here, obviously we have our extra battery here. It's an APS-3 battery. Now it is very quick to get the battery out and change it, which is very nice. Then on the other side here, we have our charging cap. You can remove this and you'll see the USB-C charging port there. Now this will charge both the internal batteries as well as the extra battery on top here. Now moving down, we have our buttons here. We have our rangefinder button, our record button, and our zoom in and out button. And then obviously we have our eye cup and adjustment for our eyes. Now before moving on, let's go into a bit more detail on the buttons. So if we press and hold our zoom button in, it'll bring up picture-in-picture mode. Now for our rangefinder button, a single press will activate the range-finding modes, and then from there single press will do a single range find, and then if you want to change it to scanning mode, you want to press and hold to change to scanning, and then to shut down your range finding, press and hold again and it'll close it down. Now for recording, it's a single press to start a recording or long press to stop a recording. Or if you don't have a current recording in progress, if you press and hold, it'll change between photo and video mode. When your rangefinder isn't currently active, if you press and hold the rangefinder button, it'll change your amplification mode. Right, I can't remember if I touched on the multi-functions of the power button. So single press to turn on, long press to turn off, and once it's turned on, if you single press it, it'll do an image calibration. Alright, so there's a quick overview on how to operate the device. Let's move on. Let's discuss some of the things I like about the new Thermions. The new Thermions have by far the best eye relief available at the time of filming, at least in my opinion. And that's against comparable models on the market. This may or may not be a concern for most people, but it is a point to consider. I did some eye relief measurements and found that you can see the full screen out to 65mm, 75% of the screen out to 265mm, and at least 50% of the screen is visible all the way out to 565mm. Pulsar has done an amazing job with the eye relief, that's for certain. So if you're one of those shooters that likes to sit right back off the cup of your scope, or you're shooting with higher calibers where you want to be sitting back further, then a Thermion may be the right choice for you. Along with this fantastic eye relief and a beautiful round screen, the tube on the new Thermion is also 10mm longer than comparable models on the market. This means you have more room to move and position your scope on your rings to bring it back closer to your eye, for example, improving your ability to get the scope situated in a position that is most comfortable for you. Now this is a pro, but it mainly affects the percentage of the screen you can visibly see the further you move back. So it's not to say that you can't sit back further with other models, it just means you're going to be able to see less of the screen, potentially not being able to see icons and things like that. Ultimately, in most situations, you are still going to be able to see the crosshair in the center and your target regardless. The battery life on the new Thermions is pretty good. In our drawdown test, we found the XL60 got 5 hours out of the internal battery and around 2.5 to 3 hours out of the removable APS-3 battery, for a total of 7.5 to 8 hours. The XP60 had a much longer run time, getting 7 hours out of the internal battery and 4 out of the removable for a total of 11 hours. The XG60 performed almost exactly the same as the XP with around 11 hours total runtime. So overall, very good battery life with the XL lagging behind just a bit. We tested the startup time on the new Pulsar models and we're impressed to find they still have some of the fastest startup times in the industry, with an average ready-to-use time of between 5 to 7 seconds. This is from the time you press the button to the time you can shoot, which can be an important note if you like to turn your scope off and only turn it on when you want to shoot. As you know, in the heat of the moment, every second counts. The new Thermions have introduced a larger 1-inch round screen with a resolution of 2560 pixels, bringing better viewing and clarity. The screen is also 50 Hz or 50 frames per second refresh rate, giving you a smooth viewing experience when panning. This is pretty standard across the board in the industry now though. With an increase in lens size comes a few advantages. Pulsar can increase the base mag, giving you better image and clarity without losing too much of your field of view. On average, the base mag has gone up by 1 times on each model, with only a loss of around 16% of your field of view, ultimately meaning a clearer image for longer shots and good field of view for close shots. Pulsar also claims the new models can achieve 10 to 16 millimeter accuracy per click at base mag at 100 meters, depending on which model you're using. Going into max zoom level will allow you to fine tune your accuracy all the way down to 1 or 2 millimeters per click, giving you the opportunity to achieve incredible accuracy. I've not had time to test this, but Pulsar in general has a great reputation for accuracy. Now, one thing I was disappointed in was the calibration frequency when you first turn the scopes on. The XL and the XG can do an image calibration as often as every 10 to 20 seconds when you first turn it on, with that stretching out to every minute once it warms up. The XP60 starts at around 44 seconds for the first calibration, then goes to 1 minute from there. In my opinion, this isn't a huge issue, as you can turn auto calibration off or change to semi-auto or even manual. Regardless of the setting you choose, you can do a manual calibration quickly at any time by single pressing the power button. So I would just leave it on semi-auto or manual and do a calibration as needed. Alright, so let's take a look at the menu systems on the new Thermions. First, we're going to check out the quick access menu, which you can access with a single press on the scroll wheel button. As you'll see, the little quick access menu will pop up there, and a single press again will allow you to navigate through the different options in the quick access menu. So first up, we have our brightness, which we can then adjust using our scroll wheel, and we get it set how we want for our conditions. And then we can single press again. And then the next option is contrast. Once again, you can adjust with your scroll wheel. And then we have our amplification level, which we can change from normal to high to ultra. Okay, I usually have it set on high. And then we have the option to manually change the distance for our ballistics calculations here. Okay, as you can see, we can manually set the meters and allow it to make the calculations based on the profile we have set. So at 10 meters there, you'll see it shooting quite low. And that's all the options in our quick access menu. Now let's take a look at our main menu. To access that, we hold down the scroll wheel button until the menu pops up on the left hand side there. And as you can see, we have our first option is for our reticle and zeroing. Then we have our smoothing filter. Now this is just designed to try and remove some of the background and make the target more visible. And then we can select our color palettes. Now if you need to change something in your main menu, you just scroll to it, single press, and allow it to access the next menu, and then single press again to select your preferred option. Then we've got our user mode, which we can turn on and off, our display settings, Bluetooth on and off. Now this is used to connect to your Stream Vision ballistics app to do your ballistics calculations. And then we have our Wi-Fi setting, which allows you to turn the Wi-Fi on and allow you to connect to the Stream Vision app. Now from within here, you can see we have the option for 5 GHz or 2.4 GHz. 5 GHz tends to be a lot better. You can change the password and you can activate or deactivate the function. If Wi-Fi is turned on and Bluetooth, you will use more battery. And then we keep scrolling on down into the next set of menus, and now we have the microphone on and off. And you can just single press to turn that on or to turn it off. Then we have our ballistics option, which just allows us to toggle our ballistics on and off and make some minor changes to our ballistics display. And we keep going down and we have our rangefinder settings. Now in here you can change your rangefinder box to a different icon. You can turn true distance on and target position angle on as well. Then we've got our calibration modes. Now if we click on this, you can see we have manual, semi-automatic or automatic. I do recommend using semi-automatic. Then we go down and we have our general settings. Now in here you can set the language, the date and time, units of measure, so whether you want to be meters or yards, video compression, whether you want it to compress your videos or just try and keep them as high quality as possible, Most people want to have that turned off. And then we've got defective pixel repair and auto shutdowns options. So in here, you'll be able to set whether it turns off after a period of time of inactive use. So after 30 minutes, it'll turn off. And if it's in an idle position, you can change what it does as well. And then we have the option to enable our side incline, restore our default settings, and format the memory inside. So that'll just wipe all your videos. Then we're going to press and hold the menu button to return back to the main menu. And then we go down to the bottom, and the last option is device information. Now in here, you'll just find all the info about your product, your serial number, and so on. And look, that just about does it. I didn't go into too much detail on the specific options. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory, but in the manual, you'll find detailed descriptions of each setting. If you're unsure how they work, I just wanted to do a general overview of the menu system. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at how to connect your Thermion up to a tablet or iPhone using the Stream Vision app to control it, to do recordings and things like that. One of the first things that you want to do on your tablet or phone is go to your app store and search for Stream Vision, and you'll see we have the Stream Vision 2 app. Now this is the app designed for operating the device and doing recordings, and as you'll see, there is also a Stream Vision Ballistics and a Stream Vision 1. Now for this case, we want Stream Vision 2, but if you are doing ballistics and connecting to the Bluetooth instead, you would download the Stream Vision Ballistics app. Stream Vision 2, however, connects to your device via Wi-Fi. Let's go over to our Pulsar device now and make sure that we have the Wi-Fi connection turned on and see what the password is. Alright, so we want to press and hold our menu button, which is our scroll wheel button, and then we want to scroll through until we find Wi-Fi settings. Then we want to single press on our scroll wheel button, going into the next menu, and then single press to activate our Wi-Fi. You'll see the password there, the owner, and your Wi-Fi band. So in here you can select 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. We want to have it on 5 gigahertz for the best connection. Then what we want to do is go back to our tablet, go to settings and go to our Wi-Fi section. And then in here you'll see the Pulsar device come up, and it's listed as the Thermion there. We want to click on that, and then it'll come up for you to enter the password. Now by default the password is 1 through to 8. Right, so I've got the little tick there, the Wi-Fi is connected up. Now it may come up and say no internet connection. That's perfectly normal. Then we want to go back to our Stream Vision 2 app, and then from here we want to click connect device. And now it's all connected up, and we can select device storage, which shows what's on the device, and our viewfinder, which will show you the actual vision of what the device can see. Alright, let's go through some of the options we have in the app here for the Thermion. So if we single press on the screen, it'll bring up our menu options for the viewfinder. And in here we can change our reticle type. We can change our reticle color. We can change reticle brightness, change the color palette. We'll have a quick look at that. So there's red monochrome, for example. We'll go black height. And then we've got distance. We can set our distance and our amplification level. And that's what we can do from the bottom menu there. Now if we go up to the top menu, we've got our manual calibration there. The first option on the right. Then we've got picture-in-picture. That'll turn our picture-in-picture mode on up the top there. We can press it to enable or disable it. And then we have zoom, and because we have our picture-in-picture mode on, this will actually zoom in on the picture-in-picture mode. Okay. Now if we turn picture-in-picture mode off and go to zoom, allow us to zoom in the full view there by dragging this little blue ball. And then we have our contrast. We can adjust that from the app. Okay. And our brightness. And that's basically the majority of what you can do from the viewfinder. We do have a settings icon up in the top right hand corner, which allows you to turn on certain settings like your smoothing filter, for example, your calibration settings, and various other options there as well. But we're going to go back now to the main screen for the app. In the gallery here, we have our what's on this device, being recorded on this device, and in our cloud, we have news and settings. Now in settings here, you'll see list of your devices. The device we have connected at the moment is actually not released to the public yet, so we can't see all the settings in there. But if we go to, say, our Telos here, you'll see we have the option to download firmware updates, whether it connects automatically, and we have our serial number and various other bits of information, as well as we can remove the device. So if you needed to do a firmware update, this is where you come. You come in here, you click download firmware. Now there's a good chance you'll need to disconnect from the thermal and connect to a Wi-Fi connection to download the actual update itself, and then you'll need to go back and connect to the device again, and then it'll install the update for you. So it's a 2 or 3 step process to do your firmware update. Anyway, that about covers it for the Stream Vision app. Now, if you need to put ballistics profiles on, you will need the Stream Vision Ballistics app connected via Bluetooth instead of Wi-Fi, which we cover in our ballistics setup part of the video. Alright, so now we're going to do a demonstration on how to zero the new Thermions. For this one, we're just going to use a piece of aluminium foil taped to a piece of cardboard. And as you can see it there now, so we're going to get started. Now, first thing you want to do is press and hold your scroll wheel button to open up your main menu. Now, once the main menu is open, you just want to select your reticle and zeroing by single pressing on the scroll wheel button. And obviously you use your scroll wheel to scroll through the different options. Now, from in here, we can choose our zeroing profile. Now, you can have up to 10 profiles. This can be handy if you're changing it between firearms. And now we can choose our zeroing distance. We've currently got our 100 meters there, and we can even add a new distance if we want. So if we single press on that, let's add a 200 meter distance. Single press on the scroll wheel button will allow you to navigate through the meter options, and then a scroll wheel to adjust. Long press to save, and then it'll bring us into our zeroing options here. Now, first up, we have our windage and elevation. That's going to be the option you select to do your zeroing. Then we have our magnification, so you can zoom in to get more fine tuning. And our freeze frame, once we've taken the shot, and we can name our distance at the bottom here if we want to change it to a different number. On the right hand side, we have our profile A showing with our zeroing distance 200 meters, and then our windage and elevation showing for our X and Y axis, and then an indication of what each click will represent at 100 meters. So one click at 100 meters would equal 16 millimeters. So that's handy information to have. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to our magnification first, and then I'm going to zoom in. Let's just go 10 times, for example. We can see our square there. It's a bit more of a rectangle. Alright, so now I'm going to do a demonstration on how the freeze frame zeroing works. So just imagine I've taken a shot there now, and now I'm going to go out and mark the impact, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to zero it to where your shot actually landed. Now that we've marked our impact, we can now do the freeze frame on where we were aiming. So we go down to freeze and select freeze. Okay, and now we're free to move the scope around as much as we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to windage and elevation now, and then it'll give me my X and Y axis. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to move it a long way because I'm very close to this target for this demonstration. This is 30 meters, roughly there. And then we're going to go down to our Y axis. Now, as you'll see while I'm doing this, on the right hand side it'll say click equals 4 millimeters at 100 meters. Now that's because on the different zoom levels you get more refinement. So on 10 times zoom I can actually refine it within 4 millimeters. At least that's what they claim. So now I'm nearly up to the center of where my shot landed. I'm just going to fine tune it a bit more. Alright, so that's close enough for me. And then we're going to press and hold. And now our initial freeze frame zeroing is complete. Now obviously this is only at 30 meters, not 200 meters, just for this demonstration for simplicity. So from here you could move out to a further distance. Once you've got it on paper, it makes it much easier from there on. And you can do your fine tuning and grouping and make sure you get it right. Now they say these things are one shot zero, which they kind of are, but most of the time it's going to take you quite a few more shots than that to get it fine tuned, make sure it's grouping, do your different distances. You might go, 30 or 50 meters and then move out to 70 or 100 meters, something like that. So that's literally as easy as that. And then we press and hold our center button on our scroll wheel to save that zeroing distance. So now that's technically zeroed now based on our demonstration. But let's go back in, press and hold our scroll wheel button and brings up our menu, single press back on zeroing, and we can see we've got 100 meters and 200 meters there. Let's just say we want to zero 100 meters now. We'd single press on our scroll wheel button and then single press again to select zeroing. And then we're back into our main zeroing area so that we can do our adjustments on that distance. Alright, so that's just a quick demonstration on how to zero it. Now, you do want to make sure that your target is fixed down securely, otherwise you will have some problems zeroing it, like my target has just blown over there, the wind's picked up. But you want to make sure that during the entire zeroing process that your target doesn't move, otherwise you're not going to have a fun time. Now, depending on your preferences, the conditions and what you're using as a target, you might want to adjust your contrast and brightness or your color palette so that better suits your needs. Now, a single press will bring up your quick access menu. And then first up, we can adjust our amplification. Now, as you can see, the more I go over that, it is actually harder to see foil there. So for this case, we want to use normal. And then we've got our brightness. As you can see, darker can't see it, brighter I can see it. See how it sort of makes it a bit easier to make out the foil there on 13 versus on 10. So we'll leave that on 13 just for this demonstration. And then we have our contrast. Once again, it goes very dark or brighter. And we just want to find what makes it stand out the most for the zeroing process. Alright, then we can go into our main menu by pressing and holding our scroll wheel button. And let's just see what the other color palettes have to offer. So if we go black hot, you can see the foil shows up white. Red hot isn't making any difference on the foil side. Red monochrome is not going to help us. Rainbow is not going to help us really. Ultramarine, violet, definitely not going to help us. Sepia, definitely not going to help us. So it's really, in this case, black and white hot. So white hot actually looks quite good there. Might be actually better to zero on black hot in this situation. But we've done it on white hot. Now, another thing you can do if you're having trouble seeing your target is adjust the angle of your target. Now, for whatever reasons, sometimes it will show clearer on different angles, especially if you're using a traditional style target that has your center and then your rings moving outwards. If you don't get it on the right angle, the whole thing's going to look like a big black square or a big white square and not showing you the detail. If things aren't appearing right, maybe change the angle of your target, your cardboard or whatever. So now we're going to take a look at the different reticle options and the colors you can choose. And then we scroll down and we have our reticle type. Alright, now in here we can choose our reticle type. Now we have heaps of different options and I'll show you the color options next. So first up we have a minimalistic option and I'll just continue to scroll through the other options now. Right, so that's all the reticle options. I'm just going to go with this one here just so I can show you the colouring options. Now I've selected that one now by single pressing the scroll wheel button, and then I want to scroll down to reticle colour. Now in here we have many different colouring options, some which give you a 2-in-1 colour. So for example we have black and red, so black on the outside of the reticle and red on the centre. We have white and red, black and green, white and green, full red, full green, full yellow, full blue, looks more like purple to me, full orange. Then we have black on the outside, white on the inside, and white on the outside, black on the inside. So you'd basically pick the reticle colour that suits you and the colour palette that you're running. A lot of people like the green and the red. I don't mind the white and the green, but anyway, it's all personal preference. Now moving on, we can go down and we can even change our reticle brightness. We select that there, we can actually dull this right down if we don't want it to be overwhelming our display. If we just want it to be a subtle sort of reticle, we can do that, or we can have it full solid color. You can even go down very, very faint. But anyway, that's another neat feature. All right, let's talk about ballistic calculation setups. What we want to do is long press on our scroll wheel button, and you just want to scroll through our menu system here until you get to your ballistics here. Want to single press on ballistics, and then we can turn our ballistics on and off. Now we have our bound to reticle mark. Now in here you can decide where the LRF rangefinder will show. So you can turn this off and just have it show up in the corner, or we've got bound to reticle mark, which will show the distance next to the reticle mark, and then we have bound to suggested point of aim mark. Now moving on, we have our suggested point of aim mark type. Now this is how it visually will appear. Then we're going to go down to our mark color, so our suggested point of aim color here. And in here there's a bunch of different colors you can change, and that's just the color of the mark that it's going to show when you do a ballistics calculation. And then lastly, we can choose the ballistics calculator units, so you can do it in MOA, MRAD, click or off. We're just going to leave it on MOA. Now you can't actually input your ballistics information into the scope. You've got to download the Stream Vision Ballistics app and connect your devices up via Bluetooth. Let's take a look at how to do that now. Alright, so now we're going to do the ballistics calculation through the app. So what you want to do is first you want to go to your app store. You want to search for Stream Vision Ballistics. Then you want to download the Stream Vision Ballistics app. Now from the ballistics app, if we go to devices from the bottom there, it'll give us some instructions on how to connect it to our device. You want to make sure that Bluetooth is turned on your phone or tablet, as well as on the thermal itself. Now we're going to press and hold our scroll wheel button, and we're going to scroll through our menu until we get to Bluetooth. Then we're going to turn Bluetooth on, and then we're going to go down to Bluetooth pairing, and then we're going to go back to our app and return back to the thermal when we need the pairing code. Now from the app we can hit connect now, and our device should appear. So we've got Thermion 2 LRF XL. We click connect, and it's going to ask us for a pairing code, which will display inside the thermal. And ta-da, we're connected. We're ready to rock and roll. Right, now as you can see, we've got our Thermion 2 LRF there now listed in our devices section. Now before we go ahead and get started, it's important to note that there's two ways to go about this. You can either create your own custom ballistics profile from the Profiles tab, and then assign that to a zeroing profile from within the Devices section, or you can simply go into your device, go to your zeroing profile, enable the ballistics parameters, and simply enter in your ballistics information or select a already set up profile. But first up, we're going to take a look at how to go in and directly add your ballistics information to your zeroing profile. And later we'll take a look at how to create custom ballistic profiles. In the ballistics app, we're going to go to devices down in the bottom left hand corner. We're going to select our device, so our Thermion 2 XL60. Now we're going to take a look at profile. This is where you can assign a ballistics profile to your zeroing profile. So let's select our zeroing profile A. Then from in here we can toggle ballistics parameters on and off for that profile. Now as you move down, you can see we can manually enter our ballistics coefficient, our ballistics profile, muzzle velocity, spin drift, scope height, zeroing range, and so on and so forth. But we also have the option to select some pre-made profiles. If we select bullets/ammunition, obviously we currently have custom selected at the moment where you enter your own, but in here you'll find hundreds and hundreds of profiles that are already fine-tuned based on the ammunition and brand and caliber and all that. You can scroll through and search for it, or you can just type in something here to bring up what you want. So for example, let's just say I was using Remington 223 ammunition here. Say it was a core lock ultra bonded soft point. We could select that there and it would give us our ballistics coefficient, ballistics profile and muzzle velocity on that ammunition. Now sometimes the ballistics information will be on your ammunition box. Other times you'll have to find it in the ballistics app here. Worst case you might have to Google it. But regardless, once you get your general ballistics information for your ammunition, still a good idea to do your own muzzle velocity checks with a chronograph. Now when it comes to your scope height, that's going to be the center of your barrel to the center of your scope measurement. Once you've entered your data and your zeroing distances match, you hit save, and now that will save it to the scope to that zeroing profile. Right now I'm just going to do a demonstration on what it looks like when you actually do a range find once you have saved your ballistics profile. Now I'm just going to press my range find button here. It's going to bring up my picture-in-picture and my range find mode. We're going to do a single range find there, pressing the range finder button once, and there's our suggested point of aim. Okay, so that's one way to do the ballistics calculation. Let me show you another way. So what you can do is go to profiles, and you can actually create your own custom profile that's saved there all the time. So as you can see, I've got profile 1 and profile 2. If I click add profile at the top there, you'll see I can give it a name. I can select reticle and reticle colors and stuff like that. I can enter the ballistics information and then I can hit save. But I've already done that for 2 profiles here. And then what you can do from here is go back to your devices, go to your device, and then select profile. Now the little blue tick means that this profile is currently active on your thermal. If you hit the little red square with the arrows, it'll bring up your list of custom profiles and you can switch, so we can change it to BC profile 2. Now that will load that onto the thermal in the first zeroing profile slot. If we go over to our thermal and go to reticle and zeroing, you'll see that in our profiles there, BC profile 2 is active and it's ballistic, meaning it comes from the app. Now, if you don't use a custom saved profile and you just put the ballistics information directly into your zeroing profile, it'll appear like this B1 here, where it says ballistics, but it's still called B. You can name them whatever you want, obviously, but one thing to keep in mind is if you do this, you will lose your distances and your zeroing. So you will have to re-zero it after you install a ballistics profile. In addition to that, you can't add any additional distances. So however you set it up from the app is how it'll appear inside your thermal, but you will be able to zero it. Now once the profiles have been added to your thermal, you can switch between them like this. So if you created 5 ballistic zeroing profiles, then they would appear here. Now zeroing still works the same. You still go down to your 100 meter distance there. You click on your zeroing and then you're back into your zeroing screen. Now let's go back over to the app. Now if I want to quickly change the currently active profile, what I can do is hit the little grey tick there and it'll turn blue and that'll activate that profile. It's essentially attaching your ballistics profile to your zeroing profile, especially when you select your profiles in here like this. So we change B, and as you'll see, we've got BC profile 2. We'll change that to profile 1. That means our second profile in our thermal is now going to be based on the BC profile 1. And if I hit the grey arrow, it'll turn blue and activate it on the actual thermal. So it is pretty neat. You can quickly switch the ballistics profiles through the app. So if you did have a lot of profiles, it makes managing and switching between them relatively easy without going into the menus on the scope. Now there is other things you can do on the app. You can go into calculator, you can select your device, you can select your profile, and this will give you demonstrations on basically what to expect in your scope. So for example, if we were shooting out to 700 meters, the drop would be 18 MOA. But essentially this is a calculator just that you can play with. You can play with tables. I haven't done much with the calculator or tables, but you're welcome to have a play around with that if it's of interest to you. But for the main setup of your ballistics calculation, you'll use profiles and you'll use the devices section. Now when you go into your device, you can select your profile. You can also change your reticle and the reticle color and the reticle brightness. And if we want to make edits to our profile, we can click on it. We can change the name. We can change the reticle once again here and adjust our ballistics information for that BC profile too. Alright, once again, I'm no ballistics expert and I don't spend a lot of time using the ballistics calculators, but this is my understanding on how to set it up in the Pulsar units, and I've seen people have a lot of success with it. I wanted to share with you some more information about our business and the products and services we offer. We sell all the major brands, we test and have video reviews on dozens of models from Pulsar, Hick Micro, Knockpix and Infrared, with new reviews being released regularly. Our average delivery time Australia-wide is 2 to 4 days, and with us your package is covered while in transit. If you ever have issues, we can handle warranty, and if you need your thermal for a trip or work, we can arrange a loan unit for you. Not only that, but if you commit to buying your next thermal from us and you're still unsure what to buy, you can hire out any of the thermals in our growing collection of rental devices for free. We do highly recommend having a free 30-minute consult with myself. We can take our time and dive deep into your needs and the pros and cons to help you make the right decision on your next purchase.